Okay, hello, welcome everyone to our Unlimited Network Mastermind of Saturday. Today is February 31st, last day of the month of January of 2015. So amazing that already 1 month is gone here. And I think it's, to start as a conscious entrepreneur, that is what brings us here together every Saturday, 10 a.m., to really build up our inner strength, inner world, to really engage with the outside world from a place of wholeness, from a place of alignment, from a place of integrity. So I think today is a beautiful day of celebration to realize, to appreciate how we engaged in our month of January. That was the first month of this amazing 2015 that we have for us, with us here. So I'm very happy to welcome everyone, and welcome the ones that we are on this side and the ones that I know you are on the other side, that maybe you cannot speak, but we know that you are there. So welcome everyone. And like I was saying before, just today, by being the last day of February, we can really look at our month and how do you feel about yourself and your work and your vision, and how much you are supporting your vision board that we worked so much at the end of 2014 to really engage in this 2015 powerfully and consciously, and with excitement and clear of what it is that we are looking for and what it is that we want. So welcome again, and here we are. And the first thing that we want to do today is to celebrate. We have a lot of new people in our team, and I want to welcome everyone and to celebrate that, and to feel the excitement of growing and the power of our business, in the sense that we have even people that we don't know. And the team is growing. So I just want to say thank you for the system, or the business vehicle that we are in, so it's very beautiful to see that we keep growing. And the idea here is to keep supporting ourselves and supporting our team to really enjoy the journey and to manifest the dreams of our hearts. So that's why we are here together. And besides that, I don't know what else we wanted to do today. I don't know, technically, just Arne was commenting. Maybe you can say something, Arne, about completing the month to make sure that everybody's active. Just something practical that we all need to know. So that for sure. You want, Arne?
Yes. So yeah, what you said, we have in our up team, Bo's team in January, we have 250 new people, so that's pretty amazing and wonderful. And every month, which is today, at the end of the month, we would be good, or we should look at our back office and see that our payment and it went through, so we are active in members and users of IQ Life. And there is a new video that came up yesterday, and you can go and find it on unlimitednetwork.com, and you find it under the start menu, start here, and subscription. And then you can see exactly easily how you will know if you are active or not. So that's I was also very excited personally, before we get into the book, and maybe the book will talk about this as well, but the last few days we have kind of thought about, we are in a eternal process here. It's not like we are going to be ending, let's finish this and then it's going to be done. This will never be ending. We are in a eternal process of adventure. So if we can take every moment to just totally love it and enjoy it, that's the purpose. To see the perfection, and which is really an offering back to Source. By us enjoying and acknowledging gratitude to the now, we are giving a gift back to the Source that we first already received as an experience. But our job is to recognize that we received that and to enjoy it, which is a gift back. And that's an ongoing process forever. So waiting for I'm going to do that process when I get to some place where it's going to be better. No, that's not how it works. It's never going to be finished. So our job is more to see if we can find the moment and enjoy that. Then we are already successful. And then the only other question is, what are we going to enjoy moment to moment? Not if we are going to enjoy moment to moment. What? And then we can just play with that as a joyful experience. So that's what's been going through my being the last few days. So I wanted to share that.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, Arne. Thank you very much. And I love this dance between the practical side and the internal work, you know, to make sure that we know how our business works. So check if you're active or not, and how you can teach that to your team, so you don't have to do it for your team. Especially, we are going to have 21 million people in our social grid, you know, to make sure that we transfer the simplicity of looking at that video and knowing if you're active or not. But also, I want to acknowledge you, Arne, and acknowledge all of us, and welcome Doc Frank. I miss you a lot the last 2 Saturdays. It's so beautiful to have you here. We did pretty good. But I want to open the section now about the book that we are studying together, that is Working with the Law, from Raymond Holliwell, that I love the last name, Holliwell. It's so beautiful. And to really understand that this is a very deep work. I mean, Arne and I, we were very
Monica, there we
yes?
go. Yeah, your sound is clicking in and out. It just clicked out a second, so I'm glad it's back.
Repeat the last sentences.
Okay. So what I was saying is that last week we got very touched by the last chapter that we read here, that was about the law of attraction, and to really understand that energy of expecting something, you know, like desire was building up the energy of expectation, and to be expectant, to wait for something, and to be enthusiastic about something and excited about something without the attachment to it. I mean, I think I need to study this book one more round. It's so deep and profound. So I want to say thank you for all what we are doing here together. And to open the space for the chapter of today, remember just that we started with the law of thinking, and we learn how to think with our hearts, meaning to be aware of our thoughts, to feel, to really sense what it is that we are thinking, and that, you know, that's really our power right there, okay? Then we had the law of supply, that we also went through it, and was really about understanding that there is always like a perpetual increase in everything, like the natural law of the universe is expansive. And how, you know, it's not about not being satisfied or unfulfilled. It's really about realizing that from fulfillment, from being completely whole and complete, expansion is inevitable. So our desires are sacred, you know. It's beautiful to understand it from that way. Is the expression of the universe through us, okay? So that was powerful too, and of course we can study it again and to deepen in even more, to really embody these beautiful laws and to be them, you know, like consciously. So that's wonderful. And then we are going to go with the law of attraction, and that's what we did last week, and is where we are. I mean, I keep really exploring that energy, you know, that to be expectation, to be sure that it's happening, to have that faith and that clarity about it, and to don't be attached to it, you know, like this or something better can show up in my life, to always end up my visions and my visualizations with that sentence, you know, to surrender that the universe is benevolent, it wants what I want, and it's going to give me that or something better. And today we are going to welcome Doc Fran. Thank you for being here with us, Doc Fran, and to dive into the law of receiving. That, well, I think is another revolutionary, deep understanding of that energy. And this is your space, Doc Fran, if you can take us into this journey. So after we can, you know, comment, integrate, and to really take something home that can help us to be successful in our businesses. That is the intention. So welcome, Doc Fran. I'm so happy to have you here.
Well, thank you, Monica and Arnie. What a great start. And yeah, I was very disappointed that I missed out on the mastermind of the last 2 chapters. So I want to thank Jay and I started to say Ilan.
Ivan, yes.
Ivan, yeah, because I just saw Ilan's another friend of mine here, for the excellent reading that they did, and I did love that law of attraction chapter. It did clarify a few things for me personally that I did not understand before. It literally did expand my consciousness on the subject when I read that chapter. So we're going to move forward today, and this again is another iteration, and it's this whole chapter was so impactful yet again. Hallowell really has mastered understanding these principles. Whether he was a master of application of them, I don't know. It's not important. I know that I'm not a master of application of them, but the first step is awareness, and that's how we continually move to an ever-expanding spiritual consciousness. So let's get right into the law of receiving. Give, and it shall be given unto you, good measure, running over. That's from Luke 6:38. Understanding reduces the greatest to simplicity, and lack of it causes the least to take on the magnitude of complexity. In order to make Christianity practical, we must understand Christianity and obey the law on which it is founded. The teaching of Christ shows the way back from wrong results of selfish living to the love, intelligence, and power of God. By man's words, deeds, and actions, he reveals whether he has yet found the way. God exists in man as man's highest concept of perfection, and comes forth through man's faith and works as a redeeming love, intelligence, and power. He who seeks a greater life with getting as his objective does not seek life in trueness of spirit. To the extent and so long as any material object remains between the mind of the seeker and the law of God, the two are held apart and do not become one. In the same degree that a man holds to personal opinion and desire, he is limited in knowing and experiencing the limitless authority and power endowed him by his Creator. In a state of limited understanding, we reason that we must get before we can give, and then we turn and walk in the same mental rut as before by reasoning that we must give before we can get. But in our lack of understanding, we continue to leave the getting idea foremost in our thought, and we shut out the spirit of giving. Giving, which is the first or fundamental law of life, is the first law of all creation. The attitude of getting is the law of life in a congested state or in repressed action. As long as getting dominates a mind, that mind is in a paralyzed condition, being limited in its action in accord with the fundamental law of creation. The radio has aided greatly in explaining the process of the law of giving and receiving, or prayer and blessing. The principles involved are very similar. In fact, they are the same, except that one is mechanical and the other mental. When the operator on a radio projects a program, he stirs up a vibration in the air that goes forth to accomplish what it will. He has nothing more to do with it after it has been projected. The ether, or the air, carries the vibrations to any station that is capable of receiving and reproducing it. When we pray, we in turn stir up a vibration with our desires. This also is received by a force determined according to the power the purpose and the sincerity of our prayer. Often when we pray, we think that all that is necessary is to keep on praying, with the result that we never adjust ourselves to become receptive to receive our answers, and so complain when we do not get them promptly. A dreamer or a wisher is one who is continually praying, sending out his ideas, his desires, and is so busy dreaming that he gets all his enjoyment out of his dreams. He doesn't know or realize that to release his dream and allow it to go forth to accomplish what it will in time return to him for good. After you form a definite, clear outline of your desire, then release your thought Godward. Let it go, like throwing a ball out with no string or rubber band attached to bring it back to you. Man's extremity is God's opportunity is true. For when man reaches his limit, he hopelessly stops his efforts. When he relaxes from his strain, the law has a chance to reply to his desires, and things begin to change for him. Have you not seen this work in trivial things such as books or clothing or invitations or a desire to see a certain friend? Possibly at some time you sent out a thought or a desire and then forgot completely about it. The next thing you knew, you had a book presented to you, you received the invitation, or you were walking down the street and bumped right into the friend you so desired to meet. Yet somehow when it comes to more important things, to larger things, we fail to release our desires and prayers as readily, and anxiety and tension holds everything fast. Nothing worthwhile is accomplished. The mind is like a sponge. We squeeze it hard with our anxious thoughts, and not until we can release the pressure and allow the sponge to take its normal shape can it become absorbent and receptive again. Once we have expressed our needs through prayer or otherwise, some believe that it is all we must do. On the contrary, we are working with a law that is definite and active, and this is only the beginning of our work. The principle of life upon which this law is based is clearly written. It reads, quote, "Give, and it shall be given unto you, good measure, pressed down, shaken together, running over." Giving always precedes and predetermines the reception, whether you are giving your thought, your word, your service, or your deed. Some folks may consider this law as a two-way law. That is, half the time you should be busy giving, and the other half of your time you should be receiving. It is like the proposition of heat and cold. They are two sides to the same law. That is, if we concentrate upon cold and hope and pray to get heat, we are likely to freeze to death. What we must do is give all our thoughts and effort toward building a fire or seeking that which will create heat to warm us. If we concentrate upon receiving, not giving any thought or idea or desire to build upon, we in like manner may perish. The law says it is more blessed to give than to receive, and as you freely give, you freely receive. Unless we are free to extend and give out our desire, our good, the law will not have any pattern to work with. It cannot proceed to supply any need without a pattern. Many try to work the law backwards, and for that reason get little or no results. They say to themselves, well, after I get, then I will give. If you wish any good thing, you must first give good to build upon. A young man gives his girlfriend a gift, a paste diamond. Later, when he got into financial difficulties, his friend, most anxious to help him tide over, wrote a kindly note and wished him every success in meeting his obligations. She enclosed the gift he had given her and suggested that he sell it to satisfy his need. The young man was sorry that he had not given his friend a diamond of real worth. He got back at a time when he needed help most that which he had given out, an imitation instead of the genuine. When we speak of giving, most people have a tendency to think first of giving their money. Money, an object of human affections so passionate that men will slay and steal to gain its possession, is by nature so obedient to our will that we can hold it gently in our hand and fold it fondly in our purse without feeling any resistance from its nature. With all the selfish getting ideas which man attaches to it, man has not changed its nature or its purpose. What does money get out of constantly giving itself into the hands that so eagerly grasp it? Nothing. Nothing beyond the joy of giving itself in the fulfillment of its mission. Man may do some terrible deed to obtain it. He may pay it for something detrimental to his progress. But in all these exchanges, man, not money, loses value. Just as the sun shines on the just and the unjust alike, so money passes through the deserving and undeserving hand to accomplish its work. Its purpose is exchange without discrimination, leaving the latter to the mind that is using it. Money goes merely on its way, losing nothing in self-value in giving itself. Money came into form to fill the need for exchange, and on that purpose it is all intent. Let our attitude toward it be what it may. Money will remain true to its nature as long as it is needed by its master, man. If we fail to pay full value in an exchange, we fail to understand the prospering law back of the idea. Money represents the law of services. Its value is the estimation of worth placed upon it by the mind of man, while its form is designed to ensure the easiest exchange. When we give our best in some useful service, forgetful of self, concentrating on the joy of giving instead of concentrating on the returns, we find that our purpose and the purpose of money have blended, and we come together in righteous and eternal good. So often I hear people say, well, I do give, and sometimes until it hurts, but I seldom see any sign of a return. There's a right way and a wrong way to give. There is a careless, impulsive giving, and there is careful, scientific giving. When we give to a person or group of persons where we are retarding progress, we are wasting our substance. Where we give to one who doesn't put forth the effort to help himself, we need not expect a good return. Nature does not support a parasite or a loafer, but she gives her energy to the ones who are struggling forward. She lets the parasite and the loafer see that she will help if they put forth the effort to help themselves. But with us, if we support a loafer in what he is now, how can we expect any good returns? Rather, the loafer becomes arrogant and demanding for more and more relief, until we wonder where and when it will end. Jesus gave his substance always where it would do the most good. He fed the multitude because they were seeking good, not because they were begging food. Nowhere do we find him giving as much as a thought to anyone except those who desired to improve and grow. He cautioned others about unwise giving. Do not throw your pearls before swine, lest they trample them under their feet and turn and rend you. He meant simply, do not give your substance to anyone who cannot appreciate it or improve with it. It is as foolish as giving a child a loaded gun and expecting him to realize the danger as you do. Sooner or later, the child, through lack of appreciation, will either hurt someone or get hurt, to the sorrow of all concerned. You cannot build something on nothing and expect something in return. If, in your giving, there is no principle of good in some measure, no matter how small to add to, then you are casting your pearls away. You are wasting your substance. Many have found tithing a successful form of giving, but the questioning mind wonders, why would tithing be more potent than any other form of giving? It is more potent because you touch the law of giving and receiving in a definite, orderly, or systematic way of giving. You establish a methodical plan of giving, which creates a steady flow of reciprocal good to be received. When one's method of giving is sporadic or occasional, one's reception of good is irregular and uncertain. Scientists analyze it. They say that tithing gives man a self-reliance, a confidence, which enables him to build up a positive mental attitude which attracts success. Others say that a tither already has considerable confidence to take the chance to spend his money that way. This makes him a positive type and attracts only positive and goodly conditions. Then there are others who take a spiritual view towards tithing and assume that God is their partner and they are paying only 1/10 of their receipts as his share. Then too, some make the mistake of tithing when they give for selfish gain or when they make a bargain of it. Remember, it is not the money you give, it is the idea back of the giving that is so vital. If you give money and the idea is wholly one of bargaining, your mind is not free. Therefore, your results cannot be free and full-flowing. Tithing, no matter what one may think about it, if one thinks at all, has a tendency to bring man into line with the law of giving, and his results will be in proportion to the honesty, sincerity, and spirit of his gift. Jesus praised and blessed the widow who gave all her mite into the church coffer, but criticized the rich man offering his bags of gold. Why do you suppose he took exception in this case to praise only the lowly gift of the widow? He knew the law of giving was in action. It was the spirit of her gift that prompted his blessing. When John D. Rockefeller was a poor boy, he was able to apply the law early in his life. When he earned his first money, he kept a record of his giving and his receivings, and he kept a ledger all through life. It is known that he gave away more than $500 million. Possibly we can judge why he received so much to give. But after we give, that is not all we must do. Our next step is to prepare to receive the response or results of our giving, and to receive, as the law states, good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. This is the most interesting part because our preparation shows our active faith. Instead of rocking and waiting, we are preparing and working. This in turn enlarges our view. It stimulates our interest. It disperses our doubt and fear and energizes our power of reception. This was clearly illustrated for Elijah the prophet when the three kings came to him and asked him to pray for them that they would be victorious in battle and that they might have rain to supply their soldiers and animals. Elijah told the kings to go back to their camps and prepare for the morrow. Prepare to receive the water they asked for by digging ditches. Now, if you've ever been in a desert, you will know that it was the most foolish idea to dig ditches in the sand and expect rain to fall. But the kings did as they were told and prepared the ditches. They prepared for the rain by digging the ditches, and clouds gathered, and rain fell, and the ditches were filled. The men and their beasts were satisfied, their thirst was quenched, and going into battle strengthened, they were victorious. Elijah, knowing the law, instructed them to prepare and made the way easy for them to receive. The key to the law then is we are continually drawing into life what we give and expect. Whether we attract good or bad, it is governed by this same principle. You have probably made the remark, "Oh yes, it is just as I expected," and especially when some unpleasant condition or circumstance arose. You invited the condition just because you gave out the thought of expecting it. You can also expect good to appear on the same principle, and you can help it to come to pass by the method of your preparation. Many failures in demonstrations are because we do not force our expectations to keep apace with our desires. Very often we desire one thing and expect in our hearts another, which creates confusion. The Master said, "A house divided against itself cannot stand." When a mind is confused, there is no cooperation, nor is there united force to attract the strength it requires. Positive mental radiations will drive away all clouds of doubt and fear with confident expectation that all things will work all right. You operate a law that can and will put matters right. There is a power within, greater by far than any difficulty that you can ever meet. That power will never fail to see you through. You may ask, can I desire things not ready for me to have? Can I ask too much of the law? Does the law withhold things from me which are not for my good? True desire represents the urge of life, seeking a fuller expression, and is kept alive by continuous expectation of its fulfillment. It brings to us ways and means for its manifestations. The principle explains, no desire is felt until the supply is ready to appear. No mind can be conscious of a need or a desire unless the possibility of its fulfillment exists. Your prayer, your desire, and your inner urge are like a magnet, and the stronger they are, the stronger the power of your magnet, and the greater its attraction. You cannot ask too much of the law, for it is unlimited, and the supply is inexhaustible. You can get only what you can conceive, what you can understand. You can get only the equivalent to what you give. The law does not withhold any more than mathematics withholds its numbers. You may receive some things that appear not good, but yet good may come through them like mistakes in mathematics. Whereas you make many mistakes, the mistakes enable you by their correction to know better the law. After you have made one or several corrections, you will never again repeat the same mistake. So in that way, the law has served you well and has supplied you with a greater knowledge. The Lord loveth the cheerful giver. The law serveth the free and willing giver. Whatever you give, give it with a free and willing spirit. Give it out with no obligations or dictations attached. Then it will come back to you unburdened with obligations or restrictions of any form. He who gives much receives much. To give your best is to receive the best in ratio to the degree of your giving. The reason why so many people receive little is because they give out so little. They are poverty-stricken because they refuse to give. Whatever the nature of your possessions, give and give abundantly. You are to give of your life, interest, energy, thought, ability, love, appreciation, and helpfulness. In giving of your life, thought, and love, in doing gladly and well whatever you may be called upon to do, you express your best, and the more you give, the more you receive. This does not mean that you are to give to the selfish and thoughtless, but to so order your life as to make a full and proper use of your energies, faculties, and talents in useful living. If today your abilities are small and your powers insignificant, begin now to make a more thorough use of them, and they will grow. Recall the story of the master and his servants to whom he gave each a talent, some 2, some 3, and others more, and from whom he expected a harvest according to their respective endowments. There was a greater joy in heaven over him who had but 1 talent and used it well than over him who had many talents but failed to employ them in useful service. Hence the servant with 1 talent took the higher place. In other words, the individual who makes full use of what he has shall be blessed with more and more. For in what measure ye meet, it shall be measured unto thee again. That is the path of increase. That is the secret of the law of receiving. If the business world accepts the giving of service as the basis of success and progress, can we not accept the same truth in our business of living life? This is not a religious plea. This is good logic or plain common sense. For if the law works in one department, it surely will work in every department, whether we choose to apply it. Whatever you desire in the way of health, success, happiness, riches, or power, Start toward it, started on its way by this procedure. The law works. The results are sure because a natural principle is involved. You may proceed without doubt or fear to desire and to expect all the good you can realize, use, and enjoy. When the mind of man becomes unselfish to the point of yielding to the law, man has been born anew, for his attitude towards the law, himself, and his fellow man has changed, and his affairs take on the character of his newness of thought. That was a powerful chapter. I only had to leave out basically one paragraph in it because every bit of it was meaningful. I loved it. You know, Monica referred back to expectation from the training last week on the law of attraction, and the expectation is so powerful. And the example, of course, they gave was the mouse who sits outside the mouse hole with no intention or thought other than the fact that he will get the mouse. So as I was reading this, it's so amazing how the events of my life on a contemporaneous basis really reflect the teaching that I'm about to learn or to give in this case and refine. And you know, I had an incident this week where, you know, I've been really working on trying to apply these principles more perfectly in my life, more continuously, etc. And so this week I was severely tested. We got some news that was extremely disappointing and unsettling to me, and I immediately went out of the now and into the future, which is, of course, laced with fear. And so when you future things, your actions in the now are based on fear in most cases. So I had occasion to recall some teachings out of, and I think Arne mentioned Eckhart Tolle at the beginning of his talks today, another book which we may use as the next book we do called The Power of Now, an extremely in-depth manual basically on a guide to spiritual enlightenment. But I want to, what I violated was staying in the now. And you know, we learned from today that not only must we expect, not only must we ask and expect, but we must take action that is consistent with the desire, the accomplishment of the desire. And sometimes we get confused about that, and I got confused about it, because the reality is there's only 3 states of time: the past, now, and the future. And I'll ask all of us on the call, when is the only time that you can actually take action? Well, the answer is obvious. You can't take action in the past. You can't take action in the future. You can only take action in the now. So staying in the now is the real key to enlightenment. And the passage from Eckhart that I want to read a little bit is that we talk about surrender, and I've been working on understanding this concept of surrender. And so this is very important because this is the lesson that I learned this week. To some people, surrender may have a negative connotation, implying defeat, giving up, failing to rise to the challenges of life, becoming lethargic, and so on. True surrender, however, is something entirely different. It does not mean to passively put up with whatever situation you find yourself in and to do nothing about it. Nor does it mean to cease making plans or initiating positive actions. Surrender is the simple but profound wisdom of yielding to rather than opposing the flow of life. The only place where you can experience the flow of life is the now. So To surrender is to accept the present moment unconditionally and without reservation. It is to relinquish inner resistance to what is. And I really flashed into intense resistance to what I was told is. Inner resistance is to say no to what is through mental judgment and emotional negativity. Boy, did I manifest that. It becomes particularly pronounced when things go wrong, which means that there is a gap between the demands or rigid expectations of your mind and what is. That is the pain gap. If you've lived long enough, you will know that things go wrong quite often. It is precisely at those times that surrender needs to be practiced if you want to eliminate pain and sorrow from your life. Acceptance of what is immediately frees you from mind identification and thus reconnects you with being. Resistance is the mind. So, man, the combination of these readings and teachings and reflections on them was an extremely powerful lesson in life to me this week, and I hope that it communicated with all of you. So I'm looking forward to our mastermind discussion. Back to you, Monica.
Thank you. Wow, Doc Fran, thank you so much. I mean, I'm with you in all what you said. I mean, I love the surrendering, but I feel so well, and thank you so much for sharing like our human journey. We know maybe we know intellectually so many things, but to really apply, like you say, to really practice to be in the present moment, and to surrender to what is at this very moment. Doesn't mean that things cannot change or that you don't have your dreams or things like that, but to really balance all what we are learning here is so powerful, so thank you for that. And to me, I want to go back to the giving, to the receiving, and the first side of the receiving, that is the giving, and to master that a little more. So I would love to open the call here to see what it is that we can deepen in from our experience. Like in my case, I really see this, I think I'm a giver naturally, just from passion, vibrating, and loving people, and I feel like I'm very overflowing, from my own connection, I would say, from my own way of being here. But I have this hook with money. And I do want your feedback. I want your support on that. Like sometimes I feel, okay, do I have to give, even when I don't have the economical situation right now, I'm just surviving. Let's say, quotes, I'm surviving very good. I mean, that's beautiful. I can pay my responsibilities and I can eat and I have a home and everything is, fantastic on the minimum level, let's say, of, I don't know, prosperity of choice. It's like I'm living the best way that I can. But I always have on the back of my mind, is that giving of my energy and my love and my support enough, or I do translate that on money to get more money? And I would love if we can open the discussion between all of you, what it is that you understand, what it is that, can be supporting to integrate this incredible chapter that I was like, yeah, all the time, So let's open the call. Who feels, like open to share your inputs on this, or to, help me a little bit with integrating this giving before receiving, and preparing myself to receive. I mean, I don't know, I have to really study the chapter again and again. So let's see if I see some opening here of the microphones and someone that we like to share just your input. I'm sure that will guide me somewhere. So let's go for it. Quiet time. This is a big topic, like what do we give, how do we give, and to be open to receive. That I think is an incredible quality of our being, to be open to allow it. We don't have to work hard for it, to allow it. Just to me, it's almost like to feel innocent, in the sense that I'm not giving out money right now, or I'm more giving more energy and more, and maybe it's the same thing and maybe it's enough. I don't know. I just wanted you to know that. So who would like to open the microphone, people here? This is a big topic for all of us. Any input?
I have, but the car is coming, so.
Oh, okay.
Hello.
Yes, Celio. Yes,
Monica.
welcome, welcome.
I was trying to look at the chapter, you know, when Dr. Fran read, I also read before that precisely, he defines Mr. Holloway, the money, you know, the understanding of money in the sense of, you know, I was trying to read it literally, but then Monica, you know, that you give so much. I mean, from us, from the way I know you and I perceive you, you give so much in exchange. You know, it's like the energy is there, the love is there, the service is there, the intention. And I think Mr. Holloway makes it very clear that we have to understand money from that point of view of service, of exchange, of the giving and receiving, that when it comes to that vibration is the same, is the same energy. You know, that's also the way I see it. And also, I really want to thank Dr. Frank that you shared with us whatever, you know, what happened to you these last few days, you know, in your business, because I think, you know, I relate so much. And I mean, Monica, we talk about this. I had, you know, it's not similar or different, but a similar situation also, that the outcome of a certain situation was not at all what I expected. And I really have been forced by by the universe, by God, or whichever way to call it, to work in the now, because this is what happens. I mean, not that we are going to have expectations that the wrong thing is going to manifest, no way. But if the thing does not manifest the way I expect, at least for me, I can see that in the now is my power. And if I give away the now for the future or the past, I'm lost. I have lost the game. So I just love that Dr. Frank shared with us, you know, his now experience. And I also love that we're going to read Eckhart Tolle soon because it's fantastic. But in the meantime, Dr. Holloway is great. And I absorbed the chapter so much, but there is one sentence that I loved, and I just want to leave that when he says, mind is like a sponge. We squeeze it hard with our anxious thoughts, not until we release the pressure and allow the sponge to become absorbent again and receptive. And to me, I love that sentence because, you know, exactly, it's the sponge. I have to let the sponge be the sponge again. If I pull it and press it, you know, no ways. It's no sponge, no giving and receiving, no, you know, I'm not letting the energy come in and out. And then I also love that he, you know, this money thing, because, you know, any business, and he mentions that in the business world, you know, you want to get, I mean, as businessmen, we want money and we want an exchange. So which is the right attitude? And for me, it's crucial to understand that money is an energy, and I have to know how to handle that, because otherwise it can become greed, or it can become fear, or it can become the wrong kind of energy, and I will never have enough, or I will not know what to do with it, or if I have it, you know, it won't make me the person I want to be, and it won't really give me what I want to have. And also I love when he talks about Mr. Rockefeller, so inspiring when he started to make his billions, that, you know, he's really worked on this giving and receiving law and writing down. For me, very inspiring in that moment. You know, I said, well, okay, this is the way to do it. You know, just be very conscious when I'm giving and I'm receiving, and just understanding is the same process. So definitely a chapter to read over and over again. And one last thing, I just find this book is like a moment, it's very momentous. Every chapter is like a momentum leads to the other one. And I don't know when we finish this book where the momentum is going to be, but right now the momentum is great, very inspiring, and makes me very humble, you know, makes me very receptive, very opens my channels of reception, which is what I want, just to be able to prepare myself to receive what the universe has in stock. And that's my contribution right now.
Woohoo! Oh my gosh, thank you so much, Celia. I mean, I just love to be with conscious people. It's so beautiful, you know, and I just love what you are saying. And the sponge, I highlighted too, and right now it's like I get it, you know, like from being tense, you know, to allow, you know, ourselves to be open and to enjoy life. And this is something that I'm very committed here with Arne. Like, I mean, we are in paradise, really, you know. So to don't stay worried. Like, I get worried with the future again. I love your sharing, Doc Fran, too, you know, because it's so easy to go there, you know, instead of how can I enjoy, be happy right now, and just, you know, like forget the thinking, you know, just enjoy. And I mean, incredible. So thank you so much, Celio, for being so enlightened, human, enlightened, humble, proud. It's so beautiful to see you. So thank you very much. Thank you very much, really. Anyone else with your gifts here, conscious people, with our own journey? What I love about us, you know, is that we are not the theory here, you know, saying, oh my God, the leaders that we lead our own lives to begin with, you know, and then we can inspire other people to take the power and to explore life and to really deepening in these laws, you know, that are so, you know, real and scientist. And I don't get it. I absolutely, to me today is like, oh my gosh, I mean, I'm the master of receiving from my feminine work with women, and today is almost like, yeah, I love the symbolism of the sponge, you know, like I think I can be more tense than sponges, you know, lately, because I'm getting like nervous about, you know, I do want that income coming in, you know, and what do I do now, you know? It's like, okay, just be present. So I love the idea also, guys, about reading Eckhart Tolle, that is going to bring us to the real connection without having to, you know, take it personal or anything like that. So let's surrender. And let's master this giving and receiving, you know, and keep deepening on this. So who else? Arne, I can see you opening the microphone here. I would love to hear your wisdom.
I thought Candice would be talking, but I'll go ahead. And thank you, Doc Fran, for the wonderful reading and the book. I mean, it's one of my favorite books here in the world. I'm really happy with it, or maybe happy is not the right word. It's pushing me, and all the comments we have here. And it's really a topic I've been studying for, I don't know, 30, 40 years, trying to see how is abundance really coming about. And as I'm living day by day here, I do live in paradise. You know, everything is absolutely beautiful.
Arne, we just lost your audio.
Coming back. Maybe you, okay.
Now it's back. It's back.
Okay. So living here in the day by day, it's beautiful outside, no stress. I wake up when I want to. I meditate as I want. I do my business as I want. There is no problem. And one way of giving, I think, is to enjoy that consciously. That's living in the now, and it's also an offering back to Source, as I was talking about before. But then there's the other part of me that goes, okay, but I want some more cash. I want more money than I have. So then I look, okay, what can I do about that? Well, in the past, I judged people who have money because the only principle I could see from them was that they were demanding. I want the money, and they have it. and and from my point of view, they were all like bulldozers and not caring about anybody or anything like that. And I didn't want to, I still don't want to have that kind of energy in. So last chapter, that the demanding switched a little bit over to expectation. But then, so doing tithing and excuse me, and putting my offering back, or my giving in order to receiving, with the intention of being in the now, but still giving, and the tithing, and as I look at the world where, you know, who is successful, and as the stupid example, mafia, you know, they have a lot of money, but they're sure not doing any giving. They're the opposite. They're, you know, and they still have the money. So in my mind, like, what is really the source of receiving? And it's my study to get to that place, and everything I hear sounds right. So the giving of energy, I don't know if that's true, because if I give of energy, I get energy back. Like, I live in abundance. Well, maybe I'm offering back to source the abundance of this beautiful place, but really I'm not offering cash, money, to back. So maybe I'm only receiving what I'm giving. So if I want to receive money, I actually have to give money. That's a thought that's in running there. Do we only receive back exactly as a law of attraction? What I give is what I receive. So it actually has to be turned into a monetary cash giving as well. And from many teachers, I hear that yes, it has to be, and then but then I see all this mafia kind of example of people, they still have it, and since I still want more, I need to try new avenues and become more. Maybe there's, if I offer money or give money, maybe that puts me in the space where Hollowell said in the beginning that like scientifically it's explained that if you give, that means you must be safe enough to give. So feeling that inside, so I can definitely see that to be a fact, and it's really rocking my cage here, and I you know, in one way I like it, but it's not easy to do. So I think that look forward to some other input also, and it's like a meditate. I want to meditate on this book every day. You know.
Yes. Thank you, Arne. Thank you so much. I mean, I think that you are right. I love that we are in confusion. You know, this means expansion, and we are for sure changing here. And I just love the inquiring. And I remember, you know, working with Abraham Hicks a lot, and we listened to that a lot, and I love it. And you know, at one point was saying, I really understood with depth that the day that you understand that your money, your cash flow, is based on your emotional state. So here's where is where I get confused or clear. I don't know. Is where I'm dancing to, and I want more. I see microphones open already. You know, I want more of your input here. But I really got that into my heart. You know, as soon as you know, what I need is to feel good, to really vibrate in good and gratitude and excitement and all that stuff, and that will include the money in. So I'm mastering that first, you know, and to see if I can play it. But I totally am with you, Arne. I think we can dedicate this week to keep deepening more on this expectation, giving, receiving, etc. And let's listen. Candace, I saw that you opened the microphone.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning, honey.
Take it up, Arnie. Get it all tumbled in there, and that's kind of how I'm feeling too. There's so much in this chapter that it really is going to take studying it even more. Balance is a key word. I'm thinking about this book, and I mean this chapter in the context of the entire book, and of how each one of the chapters has got a part to play in my becoming abundant, in my becoming an abundant thinker, and living these laws in a masterful way. So the feeling behind it is excitement, and the thoroughness with which he approaches these topics inspires trust in me, like, oh boy, he knows enough of what he's talking about that I can fall into his thinking. I can work, you know, I can be with him safely for a while to gather what he is wanting to teach. And I'm just, receiving has been a big topic for me. I spent 8 years raising grandchildren, single-handedly, so to speak. We don't do these things without a village, of course, but I was the point person for darn sure. And so I had to learn to receive. I simply could not do it all alone. There were triplets, so I was a busy person for a while there. And one of my frequent meditations was, how do I learn to receive better for what I'm giving? And I found that the universe came and scooped me and us up, this little foursome of 3 little kids and their grandmother, scooped us up and supported us in ways that were totally flabbergasting to me. Because while I did not give out money, I didn't have that to give particularly, I always gave. I was giving abundantly to the children, and I also gave. You know, I gave service at church, or I went and helped at a barbecue and helped serve food, or did, you know, as they got older in their baseball, I went and helped in the hot dog stand at the baseball games, and things like that. So I was available to give, and I feel like that. The phrase comes to mind, the Lord loves a cheerful giver. And that was spoken to in the chapter about giving freely. And that is free, to give joyfully, to give because I'm already happy. I am giving that too, along with whatever I hand out, the money, the energy, the smile, we all know what a difference a smile given to us can make. So I'm really very touched by this chapter and by everybody's sharing. You all hit a point for me to consider. And Thelio, you always in your sharings, you have a way of touching the heart that is really in such an intelligent way. I really like it, and everybody has their way of. The way we work together is that we continue to open ourselves and each other up, and I love that, and I appreciate you all so much. I'm good.
Thank you, Kanda. It's so beautiful to hear you. I love it, and we keep exploring here. And we are like on time here, so I would love to hear you, Doc Fran. I'm sure that you have some input here for us, and then we are going to close up our call. So, yes, hi, Doc Fran.
Well, again, you know, you guys proved the point of why I missed so much being on our mastermind. So, Monica, I'll come to your questions because you opened up the dialogue with a couple of directed questions, and I'll address it. I loved Arnie's sharing, and you know, yeah, the candor. It's true, you know, especially the more intelligent one is, the more difficult it is to allow yourself to think beyond the correctness of your own thinking. and what struck me was you can really feel the angst that you are feeling right now in that process. And so the women will appreciate this analogy perhaps, but it's kind of like childbirth. It hurts like hell while it's going on, but you forget about it very rapidly, and then look at the decades and decades of enjoyment you get out of that short time of turmoil. So congratulations, it's very exciting, and you do, by virtue of actually expressing the unfolding of your consciousness expanding, and Candace, your whole comment, and see, every one of us is feeling our way along, and so in the progressive commentary that you're giving, you're actually tracing the path to higher consciousness for everyone who's listening to you. So it's very exciting. Now, we've touched on all of the different ways in which we can give, but let's go back to money, because money is the most charged entity in our entire existence, and that's been proven by virtually every philosopher, every psychologist, every writer on this topic, is that there is more energy, conscious energy, resistance energy, whatever, on money than any other topic, perhaps even more so than sex and religion. And so, Monica, you asked, and Arnie, you said, what about money? How can, if I don't have money, how can I give money? Well, I want to tell you a story from my, personal experience. And I had an experience in my practice years ago where I had a desire to bring in a partner into my practice. I was a solo practitioner. I was the only specialist in my state, and I had been successful to a degree where it was actually killing me. Every time the phone rang, my blood pressure went up. There was only so much I could do. I needed a partner. It was very difficult to find. So I finally located this guy. He was coming out of the Air Force, and so I began the process of expanding my facility and my staffing, etc., to prepare a bed for him, as it were, to come in. Well, long story short, in that year, this process unfolded. That year, I earned more money than I had ever earned in any single year in my entire life. I spent more money in that year than I had ever spent in my entire life. I gave away, literally, because at that point in time I was going through Scientology studies. And, we spent well over $1 million in tithing, essentially, to Scientology. So, gaining spiritual awareness in the path that I chose was heavily tied to the flow of money, and it taught me an awful lot about. I learned so many things about the flow of money through the expenditure of it that it's allowed me to be in the position I'm in today, literally. So it was the best expenditure I could do. Now, did I have all that money at that time? Hell no. Isn't this interesting? But so where did the money come from? Well, not only did I literally gave away that year 100% of what my, quote, net profit, my actual income for that year would have been or was. And yet, at the end of that year, I lost more money than I ever lost. I spent more money than I ever spent. I earned more money than I ever earned. I gave away more money than I've ever given away. And at the end of the year, I had more money in the bank than I ever had at any point in my life up to that point in life. So I learned, and I had observed a few times, that the only time I ever inhibited my income flows was when I voluntarily restricted my expenses. And, it sounds incongruous, but it is so true. And now, as we're listening to these spiritual laws, I understand why it worked. I never worried about money. As Candace said, when you give away freely, you're giving from a position of abundance thinking. There's always abundance. There's always enough money. I've never ever run out of money. Have I run short? Has it been tight? Has it been scary? Absolutely. But the reality is that I have never, ever run out of money in 68 3/4 years of living this. Now, isn't that an amazing reality? I've made millions, I've lost millions, I've given away millions, and I'm still worth millions. How is that possible? I'm a kid from 35th Street. I didn't come from wealth. But I came from an attitude in retrospect of abundance. And it's very fascinating to look. Like my mother right now is 95 years old. They really didn't have any money. I mean, you know, they had 5 kids, 6 pregnancies. A daughter, my sister died from a brain tumor when she was 4 years old and I was 2. That was devastating. My parents were making $50 a week with 3 kids, one of them desperately ill, and they still were giving money to my father's brothers and sisters who they perceived as being less able than they. The net of it is, my parents had absolutely no fiscal sensibilities whatsoever. They didn't do any long-range cognizant planning, but God provided for them in that a very well-intentioned money manager came into my parents' life and put them into a Putnam fund, which to this day my mother cannot spend down the principal of that fund because it increases faster than we draw it down every quarter. Now, isn't that a beautiful lesson in exactly what we learned today? And it's a very real life example. So, Monica, the answer to your question directly is, where did all the money come from? Well, there's a thing in this world called credit. And when you come from an abundance consciousness and you operate in abundance, it's really amazing. How many of you have been given credit cards with credit limits? You've been pre-approved. And yet we cut them up or stick them in a drawer. We don't do anything with them. You know, man, that's the universe telling you that it is abundant. Yeah, you may not have all the money that you think you need in the bank right now sitting there statically doing nobody any good except your consciousness that, wow, I got money in the bank. But if you have an abundance conscience, there is abundance there. Your credit limit is inexhaustible. I often said I could get more credit than I could possibly pay back in 2 lifetimes. And so, again, you use it prudently, but you never cease to use it when it's important to move you forward on your goals. So, and is there value in tithing just for the sheer sake of tithing? Yes. I've also noticed a direct correlation. I'm not a religious person. I don't belong to any church. I don't subscribe to any particular faith, but I have an unbelievable, unabiding love and awareness and personal relationship with God. Over the years, I've translated that into, quote, tithing to multiple different churches. And when I look back retrospectively, particularly going back today in view of the chapter that we read and in view of the conversation and mastermind that ensued, I am very clearly seeing that during those periods where we were tithing to a church, any church, those were the periods of the greatest increase in my personal income affluences. So that was a powerful realization for me. It may help all of us this morning. So anyway, you know, resistance. Arnie, you really came face to face with a lot of resistances about money and interpretations of people with money. And this is where it comes. Yvonne alluded to that a couple times. You know, it's our resistance to things that prevents our reception of things. And the resistances can be very unconscious. And it can be a thought, it can be an attitude, it can be, it's just the consciously, or the unconscious operation of our subconscious beliefs about the topic we're thinking about. Back to you guys.
Wow. Woo-hoo. Thank you so much, Doc Frank. I mean, I think all of us, thank you to all of us here that we have the courage to first to face these topics that are really the core, for us to be successful as our conscious entrepreneurs. That is what brings us together. And I tell you, with all the input that we have here, I have a strong week in front of me because I do want to keep pondering, and reflecting and to really maybe next week we have more questions or whatever, but I mean, the idea is to deepening in this opening that we have right now with this topic of giving and receiving and to see where we go from there. So we will let you know for sure. This is getting interesting because I love the idea that we are walking our talk. Know how you say that in English? I think that's the way we say it. Yeah. We are really working. We are doing the inner work that I think is necessary for all of us to be that sponge that Celia was saying. Like relax and open, and we send our wishes, and we are comfortable and fulfilled right here and now. So thank you so much, everyone, for your beauty, your wisdom, your inspiration. I think it's incredible to be together on this journey. I want to say that our next time together is going to be February 7, next Saturday, 10 a.m. Eastern Time. We begin another month. So from the business perspective, just be aware of, what it is that maybe you're clear on some intentions about what it is that you want to accomplish in February. So allow yourself to write that down, to be gentle with you and clear. And we get together next Saturday for the next chapter. So thank you very much, everyone, and have a wonderful, wonderful week.
They can also join us on Tuesday for our heart business call. You want to say something about that, Monica?
Yes, I just want to say that, we have another time together, pretty similar, where I lead that calls. It's called Heart Business Calls on Tuesdays at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And it's really that we take more time to do our inner journey, insight, meditation, connection, to embody more our true nature. And we keep working together. So we have 2 times from our team, and then we have a lot of opportunities with app teams. You have all these calls under unlimitednetwork.com/calls, and to get connected with the company, to have the support of other people that we are doing the same journey here. So hope to see you on Tuesday if you feel touched by it, and if not, next Saturday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. So thank you, everyone, and have a wonderful week. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Fantastic. Thank you.